Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Well, today's lesson is how to get your foot out of your mouth, which I think I might have done, stuck my foot in my mouth, because if I remember in one of my videos, I said, and let me think now if I got this right. I think I said, you don't want to see old Terry here do E7s over and over again, or LS heads over and over again. But I found something, guys. I'm doing these E7 heads, and I always use my own ideas and own spin on what I do. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it might not be good, because all I go by is how a head works on a car. I don't use float benches, even though the heads have been flowed sometimes. I don't have anything scientific except for what I do with air and little homemade tests that I do. But it's not so much the airflow I worry about. It comes down to efficiency, which I've discussed. And it comes down to how that fuel enters that cylinder. And that's what I worry about more than I do flow, believe it or not. Now, some people might go the other way and say, no, they have to flow a certain amount. If that fuel's not getting atomized right, then you can have all the flow you want, because it's going to be where that head's not going to perform. If that fuel doesn't enter that combustion chamber and it's not efficient, if it doesn't enter correctly. Getting ahead of myself again, guys. I want to show you guys this. So, hold on. Need my glasses, fellas. And I hope this will show up. Now, I'm working on the E7s, but it comes down to this. This would matter on any head. So, it just happens to be the E7s I'm trying to get finished up here. And they're far from finished, as you can tell. But I've been hammering at them. But what I wanted to show you guys is this. And of course, this isn't going to show up on camera the way that it does in real time here. But I hope I can at least show you guys this. The light's blaring back. So let me go this way and see if I can get a little bit of light here so you guys can see. So this is how I originally did the floor. I don't really like to take them back because the E7 is high here and it comes up and then it always has like a peak on it here. Now they say this is one of the heads you can actually cut down, which I don't believe in doing, even though all the high performance people back in the day, that was one of the secrets they did. And what you're basically doing is you're going to make this like a Windsor head would be, because you'll take this peak off. To me, well, old Terry here had his own theories on that, because that reminded me of a waterfall, how a waterfall comes off and then has a lot of speed. So I said, you know them guys that do these heads professionally all the time must know something more than me. But I have my own ideas about things, fellas, like I tell you. So just because they did it doesn't mean that I'm going to copy it. So, yeah, it was a major company. Everybody knows who did these heads and had the biggest company out back in the day. I don't want to mix them because they were a good company. And there's no sense me having a difference of opinion and debating somebody that had a business doing this for years. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But as you guys can see, how I contoured this end, and I did widen the floor into the sidewall here, and I still am tapering that in. But here, this is something like how an LS head, in a kind of a sense, the same way, how it peaks up and then comes down, except the LS has a smoother and a longer way to travel here off the floor. Nothing drastic. It's just that I'm not trying to compare this to an LS. I'm just trying to give you the scenario. So what we have is this. This is where I've done it. And I'm kind of sorry I might have done it this way. Because as I'm looking at this, I'm starting to see where... Well, right now I'm starting to see where I'm getting blinded by the light here. There's a song called that. Remember that, guys? Blinded by the Light? I never liked that song. My friends all did, but I didn't care for it. But, yeah, wrapped up like a douche. And my friend used to sing that and really push that verse, and I hated that. I miss him now, he passed on, but it's still something I didn't care for. Anyway, if you guys can see, the phone has to, of course, go blurry when I'm trying to show you fellas something, so I hope you can still make it out. Now, this is one that I just started tapering, and you can see where I didn't get the sharp edge here. It still sticks out, and then this one over here is where I was working my way, and I smoothed it out, and I smoothed this ridge off. So I hope you guys can see the difference where I've started doing this. And this is how I normally do it. But you know, guys, I'm going to tell you something. As long as you do porting, you're always looking for things, and you're always going to wonder if you're doing the right thing. Even if you've tested this kind of stuff and have the proof, you still always wonder if it's right. Most guys do. I mean, some guys will say, I've done that, I proved it, and I know it works that way, and they stay with it. But I'm not one of them guys. Now, like I said, this isn't about a flow number thing. This is about shearing the fuel. So, what I did do down here, I wrapped this back up with my bit, because I think that helps as far as fuel atomization. Does it help as far as flow? Well, it could, because the fuel's actually hopping and skipping and it's being pulled in. So I'm thinking if I picture the fuel jumping around here, I think it could actually help it. Does it? I don't know. But I can't worry about that because I'm worried about, once again, the fuel atomization. So if you look at this, you would think that's the right way to go. But is it? Am I better off leaving kind of a little lip here? Because if you think about that fuel coming off this floor right here, that would actually shear the fuel. Now, here's what makes me undermine myself with that theory, is that every head, every aftermarket head, every performance head I've seen is on the lines of this. And some are even cut back more, which I don't like. But how am I going to argue with a pair of heads that make 700 horsepower and they have their own spin on things and they've tested and learned about that stuff? Well, these are a street head. And the RPM band isn't going to be 8,000. It's going to be where it's being turned around 6. And that's probably on the high side. So, is this a mistake for me to cut this back? Well, it's too late now, because these were just going to be a nice set of heads for a stock engine. And these are the same heads that I showed how to do certain things on, guys. Yes, I'm way, way behind, like I said. And I'm on them now because I'm trying to get these where the kid can put them on the car. I'm trying for you, Mick. Been out here a lot. It's just I'm not making real good time. But this is the kind of stuff that I get concerned about. Now, is it going to kill it if I go from this to, well, let me see, to this? Well, it would be the opposite. Would it be better if I went from not as aggressive to this, like a race head would be. So, hope I don't lose you there, fellas. I'm getting mind block again. So, would this be better as far as making power? I'll make it simple. This is the one that I finished up, basically, and that's how it would stay. I wouldn't do any more of this except rough it up and maybe taper it in a little bit more here. And then again, I don't know if you guys can see, in the corners where I don't round this in, this goes to a pinch right here, and it has a very sharp edge here. So, I'm going to try to get back here and let you guys see. This one here might show up even more. So, this here would not be good for flow. But think about that fuel coming out of here, and then it had no choice to hit this and break this up. Now, another thing this rig might do is make the fuel jump over top and empty out different in the cylinder, instead of coming off the floor and down towards the back of the valve more. Because they said that was the problem with the E7s, is that they had the big high peak and emptied the fuel towards the center of the combustion chamber more so, and it should have been back here more. That's one thing that they talked about. They're more technical than me. I never even paid much attention to that back in the day. But I usually don't point things out too great. And I was hoping that this time I might. And you might have a guy on here, one of you wonderful guys that watch and that know stuff, that know what you're talking about, and say, you know, Terry, I agree with you on that as far as the fuel. And that's all I'm concerned about as far as shearing the fuel. If you guys think that lip would be better there. Well, I'm not going to epoxy it and put it back now, fellas. I'll put it to you that way. It's going to be like this. This is just something I thought I'd put out there because it's a learning experience, at least for me. You know who I saw talk about this a long time ago was David Vizart, but it wasn't on the E7s. It was on a pair of LS heads. And I agree with him totally on that. How guys make a mistake and they cut this back here. And if I remember right, he didn't believe in doing too much to the short turn on the LS head, if I remember right. Don't hold me to that, because I never want to pass on false information, fellas. That's been a long time since I've seen him talk about that, and I could be saying something just the opposite. But what I'd like to know, guys, and you know who you are, Charles, maybe you could see what you offer on this. And you know David's way of thinking too, Charles. Unless David could just happen to see this and say, young fella, you're right or wrong about that. So, that'd be a nice compliment, wouldn't it? Him call me young fellow. I'll take that. I'll take that over information about the heads. But anyway, guys, I'm not going to make this real drawn out, real long. But I wanted to see what you guys think. And it don't have to. This doesn't have to be a flow number thing, like I said. This is about fuel. And I'll put it to you this way, guys. And Charles, if you see this, I'm going to put it this way. Even if I lost flow numbers here, and I mean, it could be where you could say, yeah, I lost big numbers trying that or doing that. I would take that. If that fuel would be atomized better, and somebody had a way of testing that's done it, and that has somehow seen where that sheared the fuel, because that's what I see it doing, guys. I see this factory edge actually being better. You know, it's just hard to leave things like that when you're doing performance stuff. You see them old ugly ridges, and believe me, now an old ugly ridge here, well, I showed you guys how to do these heads. I would never leave something sticking out where there's hindering the airflow here or around the bowl area back in this way. But right here on the floor where that fuel's the last second coming off, gonna already have speed, hit that and jump, and it might even sit there a little bit. But here's another thing now with a puddle. Now that's why I originally started doing the floor a little bit like this here, because I thought about the fuel with a puddle. Or is it where it can't puddle because it's just so fast? It's going to come here, little ski jump, shatter the fuel, and actually make the fuel chatter and enter the cylinder. Give me your input on that, guys. It doesn't hurt to get different opinions about this, and whether I listen to anybody about this stuff is one thing, because I have my own ideas. Like I've told you guys many times, I have my own theories, and it don't mean that I'm right. It just means I do things my way, and I'm willing to take the consequences when I do a head. So that's what that's about. You guys might think, well, he's bullheaded anyway. If we tell him, he's not going to listen. No, I listen. It's just you could tell a cook how to make a bowl of soup, and he could say, you have the best soup in the world, and he'll still make his soup his way. I hope I explained that right, guys. It might be a poor way of comparison, but just something to go by, fellas. All right, guys, look, I'm going to cut this short. That's my problem. I talk too long, too much, and I just want to thank you guys for checking this out and for your opinions about stuff when you guys give me your little input. All right, guys, have a good night. God bless you all, and I appreciate it. Take care, everybody.